In the marble halls of House Valemont, beauty was currency, and love was a transaction measured in alliances, titles, and whispered expectations. Lord Harrington Valemont had built his life on this truth. He stood that evening beneath the chandelier of the great drawing-room, fingers clasped behind his back, watching his daughters as one might inspect goods laid out for purchase. Outside, carriages rolled over gravel. Inside, fate prepared to choose. The Duke of Ravenshollow had arrived. Everyone knew why. The Duke was young, devastatingly powerful, and widowed without an heir. His lands stretched farther than the eye could imagine. His name carried weight in court, and his favor could elevate or destroy entire bloodlines. When his interest in House Valemont became known, Lord Harrington nearly laughed with triumph. He had exactly what the Duke would want. 2 daughters. Seraphina, the elder, was considered a tragedy of nature, quiet, unassuming, too thin, too thoughtful. Her beauty did not shout, it whispered, and whispers were useless in a world that rewarded spectacle. Servants often forgot she was in the room. Suitors never asked for her name. And then there was Elowen. Elowen Valemont was everything the world adored, golden hair that caught candlelight like spun fire, a smile practiced to perfection, laughter that danced, eyes that promised admiration to anyone who looked her way. She had been groomed for this moment since childhood, how to walk, how to speak, how to charm without revealing effort. She was her father's masterpiece. "Stand straight," Lord Harrington murmured sharply as Seraphina entered the room. She obeyed, folding her hands neatly in front of her pale blue dress, chosen deliberately to fade into the background. She had learned long ago that resistance only earned sharper disappointment. Her father didn't look at her again. When the Duke entered, the room changed. Conversations stilled. Servants froze. He was taller than expected, broad-shouldered, his dark hair tied back neatly. His face bore the calm of a man who had seen war and loss and survived both. His eyes, steel-gray, observant, missed nothing. Lord Harrington bowed deeply. "Your Grace, it is an honor beyond words." The Duke inclined his head politely. "You are kind, Lord Valemont." Then Harrington gestured grandly. "My daughters." Elowen stepped forward exactly as rehearsed, curtsying with elegance that earned approving murmurs. The Duke acknowledged her with courtesy, but his gaze moved past her almost immediately. To Seraphina, she felt it like a touch, unwanted, unexpected. She lifted her eyes slowly, meeting his gaze by accident rather than design. There was no practiced smile, no flirtation, just honesty, raw and unarmored. Something unreadable flickered in the Duke's eyes. Lord Harrington cleared his throat loudly, stepping between them as if to redirect fate itself. He leaned in, voice low but unmistakably firm. "Take the pretty one," he said with a thin smile, nodding toward Elowen. "She is everything a duke requires." The words struck Seraphina harder than she expected, not because they were cruel, but because they were familiar. They echoed every unspoken truth she had lived with. The Duke did not answer immediately. Instead, he studied Elowen again. Perfect posture, perfect expression, perfect eagerness hidden behind modesty. Then his gaze returned, slowly, deliberately, to Seraphina. "She hasn't said a word," he observed. Lord Harrington chuckled lightly. "Shy she has always been. Quieter." Seraphina lowered her eyes, wishing desperately to disappear. But the Duke spoke again. "I find quiet interesting." The room tensed. Elowen's smile faltered for the first time in her life. Lord Harrington straightened. "Your Grace, surely—" "I have seen beauty crafted to deceive," the Duke said calmly. "I have also seen strength hidden beneath silence." He stepped closer to Seraphina, close enough that she could smell leather and winter on his coat. "Do you wish to marry?" he asked her directly. The question stunned her. No one had ever asked her what she wanted. She swallowed. "I wish to live honestly," she said softly. A dangerous answer. The Duke smiled, not politely but genuinely. "I choose her." The words fell like thunder. Lord Harrington's face drained of color. "Your Grace, this is absurd. Elowen is the one prepared for court, for duty, for display," the Duke interrupted. His voice hardened. "I did not ask for display." Elowen gasped softly, humiliation blooming across her perfect features. Seraphina felt the room tilt, reality slipping sideways. The Duke turned to her again. "If you accept, you will leave this house tonight." "Tonight?" Her father said nothing. He did not look at her. His silence was permission and rejection wrapped together. Serafina nodded once. "I accept." And just like that, the daughter no one wanted became a duchess in waiting. As she followed the Duke toward the waiting carriage, whispers erupted behind her: shock, envy, fury, regret. She did not look back, because for the first time in her life, someone had chosen her, not despite her being overlooked, but because of it. And this was only the beginning. The carriage rolled through the night, like a sealed confession, lanterns swaying as ravens' hollows, and crest glinted faintly against black lacquered doors, and Serafina sat opposite the Duke in a silence so heavy it seemed to press against her chest, not hostile, not awkward, but vast, as though a door had opened into a life she had never been allowed to imagine. She kept her hands folded in her lap, expecting no bracing for correction, or for instruction. For the moment, he would realize his mistake and send her back like an ill-chosen gift. But instead, the Duke watched her with a calm attentiveness that made her feel, for the first time, truly seen. He did not ask her to smile. He did not comment on her posture. He did not tell her how a future duchess should behave. He asked her about the book she clutched unconsciously to her chest, its worn spine betraying years of secret refuge. And when she spoke, hesitant at first, then slowly unspooling, thoughts she had never dared, her voice aloud, he listened as if her words mattered more than any polished performance. By the time the towers of Ravenshollow rose against the dawn, Serafina realized something terrifying and wonderful.